essential oils are the lifeblood of a plant. And I really believe that nature just has this innate power to sustain life. And that is what we're working with. We're working with such purity directly from the earth and the gifts that she provides in the soil. But why does it get into the body is really what I think you're asking. And it's because of the molecule size of those essential oils. Because even when we apply them topically, they can go through the skin and eventually end up in the bloodstream.
So Fast Like a Girl, it's ready for pre-order now. I hope this book changes your life the way the information has changed hundreds of thousands of women that have applied it. From the bottom of my heart, enjoy and let's get healthy together.
Okay. So resetters, I have got such a fun conversation for you. So Gavin, I can't thank you enough for joining me for the second time on the Resetter podcast. I'm so grateful that you're here, but even more grateful to share what we're about to share with the world. So let's start off with just welcome, Gav. I'm so happy you're here.
Thank you. What an honor to be back and just a pleasure to be with you. It is a good day to talk about essential oils. So
it's a great day to talk about essential oils, especially the ones that you and I have dreamt up together. You really have fulfilled a dream of mine and put it into action. And for those of you listening, I'll explain why here in a moment. Now, before I dive into some really cool oils that Gavin has created, I want to talk a little bit about why essential oils, because I brought you on to the Resetter podcast before, and I told you that when I first heard about essential oils, I was a little bit of a health snob. I was like, no, come on, you can't just rub some oils on you and you're going to change your health. And then I heard your liver story. And then from that podcast, my resetters went out and got your liver duo. And from that, we started getting stories back about all the liver success stories that those oils created. So much so that I have to tell you now, all of my treatment plans include those two oils in them when I'm working with a client. So let's start off by saying, why do oils work?
Great question. Great question. I'm so glad to hear you're having great success with that. And the reason is because remember that essential oils are the lifeblood of a plant. And I really believe that nature just has this innate power to sustain life. And that is what we're working with. We're working with such purity directly from the earth and the gifts that she provides in the soil. But why does it get into the body is really what I think you're asking. And it's because of the molecule size of those essential oils. Because even when we apply them topically, they can go through the skin and eventually end up in the bloodstream. So that's number one. The other piece is because there are so many different chemical constituents that we know from research can be effective. Essential oils can have anti-inflammatory capacity. They can have the ability to bring us down and work with the parasympathetic, right? To activate parasympathetic. There are oils that are great in reference to wound repair. There are oils that are great, like we've already talked about, liver and detoxification. I mean, the fastest way to change a state is actually through smell. And when we're working with both smell and topical application, we are introducing great capacity from nature to the body to help bring us balance. And really, we're made up of very similar elements, right? I mean, that's why they tend to work so well. Carbon and water is something that is a part of us. It's a part of essential oils. And they just work so well together that way.
You know, what's interesting. You said this to me a couple of months ago, that the fastest way to a good mood is through smell. And when we look at the brain, that I can absolutely get that, because the hippocampus is the part of the brain where mood and memory is stored. And in fact, Alzheimer's starts with a decay in that hippocampus. And one of the first signs that you're moving towards an Alzheimer brain is you lose your sense of smell, because the olfactory nerve goes straight up into the hippocampus. And when you activate that olfactory nerve, you activate the mood and memory centers of the brain. So, this is where I kind of geek out, and I think we have overcomplicated health. What
Right.
if, like, literally, like, we're debating antidepressant, no antidepressant? What if it's as simple as you just need to carry some pure happy around and, like, pull that out of your pocket every time you have a bad day? Do you think it could be that simple?
I believe it is that simple in one aspect. So let's be real clear on that. Essential oils don't provide long-term nutrients. So when
Right.
someone says to you, I have an oil for that, I don't really buy into that because they can't do everything. But you are exactly right in reference to the fact that they have a backstage pass to the limbic system. They
Mm,
bypass the cerebral cortex, which
mm,
oftentimes is the bodyguard, and they just
mm.
have an immediate pass to the back when we're talking about the hippocampus. And especially when you said like pure happy, there have been so many studies done in reference to just citrus oils themselves to help alleviate feelings of stress in the mind, anxiousness, and all that comes with mental challenges, right?
Yeah, yeah. And I think that's a really good point. And I hope my listeners know this, that I don't believe in there's a magic pill to anything.
Right.
Like, the premise of all of my books have been, you're the hero. You're the one
Yes.
that does the healing. The medication, the supplement, the surgery, like, the oil, none of that does the healing. It's just helping you magnify what this incredible body's capable of doing. So I love that idea. It's the backstage pass to your limbic system.
It
That's
is.
amazing.
Yep.
So, the other thing before we move on to the connection between oils and hormones, the other thing I'm curious is, we talk a lot about the half-life of something. How long will it last in your system? So if I'm walking around, I don't have, I have a whole bunch of oils up here. I don't have Pure Happy, but let's say we're walking around and it's a bad day. If I go and I sniff some Pure Happy, or I put some on my body, at first you can smell it. And then if I keep doing it, it's like I can't smell it as well over time. What happens with that? And do we know how long the activation in the hippocampus lasts with these oils?
Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
All right, here we go. So there's a difference in notes, right? So when we talk about notes, there's top notes, middle notes, and base notes. And those notes determine, or oils are those notes. So citrus notes, they flash or evaporate very quickly because they're top notes. They're mostly what we call monoterpenes. And so they evaporate very quickly. Then we have middle notes that stay a little longer. So when we talk about a top note, it's going to last in the system or have benefit. It doesn't mean it's going to have the complete benefit for 6 hours, but we're looking really between 3 to 5 hours on those top notes. And then we're looking at middle notes are going to be more like your 5 to 8 hours.
Wow.
And then base notes can have an effect in the system for up to 72.
Wow.
So base notes, and we'll talk a little bit about that with some of these blends that we've collaborated together and or worked on together. And I'll teach you a little bit more of, okay, why is that in there? Well, it's a base note. It's bringing this whole thing together. It's keeping it where we need to and allowing it to continue to be of great effect on the body. So it really has to do not so much just the essential oil itself, but it's what the chemical constituents that make it turn into what we call a top, middle, or base note.
Okay, I'm laughing to myself because, so does that mean, like, what I want to do with Pure Happy is, if it, literally every time I smell it, I'm like, oh yeah, that worked. I'm happy. And then like something happens that like derails me. And so after a while, I feel like I just want to like glue it, like maybe wear it like a necklace where it's just like coming up into my nose all the time. But what I'm hearing from you is, because of the way you put your oils together with these top notes and base notes, that there should be a continual uplift or effect.
Right.
So does that mean if I put more on, there's no like toxicity piece, or there's no like, I can't overdo my oils?
You can overdo your oils. And let's step back 1 second. So oils actually work at a subconscious level. And so you brought up the question of, hey, I don't smell Pure Happy anymore. But it doesn't necessarily, you don't have to smell it all of the time.
Got
You're
it.
still getting benefit. And so then back to the half-life, when we apply something topically, some of that is going to evaporate, or what we say when we say flash off. And so that's why I say you're not going to get the entire benefit all the time. So am I going to reapply within a little bit? Yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
Now, toxicity, it is very real because essential oils are so concentrated. So we have to be careful with them. We don't need to be afraid of them, but we have to be careful. So you'll notice I always talk about we need a carrier oil when we're utilizing essential oils topically. That carrier oil is almost like a time release capsule, because we get irritation on the skin because of the concentration level of the oil. The body's going, whoa, this is a little too much for me right now. And so what we do is we combine it with a carrier oil. And so it has a slower absorption rate. It doesn't lessen the effect of the oil. It just lowers or lessens how quick it is absorbed. Right?
Okay.
Does that help?
I love that. Super helpful.
Yeah.
Okay. With that in mind, let me tell you what I came to Gavin, I don't know, in the spring of 2021, as I was writing Fast Like a Girl. And once I figured out how to time different fasts and different foods to people's to a woman's menstrual cycle, I started to think, okay, what else could we time? Can we time supplements? Can we time exercise? And the more I asked those questions, I realized a woman should time everything. We can time literally everything to our menstrual cycle. And postmenopausal women, again, you don't have to time it to a cycle, but you still have to think about estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone. So, Gavin, I came to you and I said, could you create me some oils that would be timed to the different hormonal needs of women? And you know what's really interesting? I haven't told you this part. You, of course, you're so friendly and positive, which is one of the reasons we love you so much and such a big heart. But you were like, yes, of course we could do that. And then you were like, when do you need these by? And in my brain, I was like, I don't know, like a couple weeks.
Yes.
I had no idea what went into making an oil combination. So here we are 6 months later after that ask, and you have come up with 3 oils. And this is after lots of testing and lots of conversations between you and I. And bless your heart, a lot of understanding about hormones, which is going to benefit you because not only do you have a wife, you have 3 daughters, right?
I have 4 girls, my beautiful wife, and a girl dog.
Yes, you are surrounded by girls, and
Completely.
now you have an oil to balance all of the oils to balance all their hormones.
Yes.
So for you all listening, what we did is, or what Gavin did is he came up with 3 different oils that match to what I call the fasting cycle. And it's all written out in Fast Like a Girl. But what I wanted him to do on this is go through why these 3 oils, why did he pick these specific oils to put in these blends. I have to tell you, one of them is my absolute favorite. But let's go through it. So if we look at a woman's menstrual cycle, the first part is where estrogen is coming in. In the book, I talk about it, I call this the power phase. You can power yourself up on fasting. You can power yourself up on ketones. And now you can power yourself up on essential oils. So the one you created for that is called I Am Strong. And wow, I will tell you, it is, I've rubbed a lot of oils on my body. I think Pure Happy before you brought me I Am Strong was my favorite. I Am Strong is absolutely my favorite blend I've ever put on my body. So is it because I need more estrogen? Maybe. But can you explain to us what you put in I Am Strong and why those nutrients you felt would be supportive of estrogen production?
You bet. I want to mention something about blending time and why that's so important. So when a formulator looks at creating something, this may be too simplistic, but I'm gonna say it anyway. Let's say we're in a car with 6 or 7 people. Not everybody wants the same music. We want to find a music or the radio station that will benefit all, or that's most helpful for all. right? And that's when we're looking at a blend, we're looking to find something that can be helpful for the majority.
Right.
But then the challenge is, what's the volume?
Mm-hmm.
What volume do we want? And that's where we talk about dilution. And so the body wants a certain music, and the dilution or the carrier oil helps us to have it at the volume our body wants. There
Okay.
are different times you're going to be listening to music louder in the car. And there are different times you just want to pull back and you want something smooth and just very chill. And that is what we're doing with blends and ratios. So the ratio creates the ratio of carrier oil and the blend itself, the essential oils, is the volume we're trying to work at. So why is I Am Strong the way it is? So this blend, I also love this blend.
Oh my gosh.
But
And like love is like, I need a better word than love. I mean, that's how much I like this. And it's just, yeah. Here's a funny backstory. So it has some of the same components that is in, like, you know, what everybody knows as On Guard. And my family hates On Guard. I often would put On Guard on and then get in the car and they're like, Mom, did you put On Guard on? Yeah, we hate that. And this is not to like debate oil companies.
Sure.
But I've been putting I Am Strong on. It has a lot of the same components of of On Guard. And nobody's saying anything. Everybody, like, nobody's saying, Mom, what did you put on? In fact, if anything, they're more gregarious with me. So
I love it. I love it.
So talk about I Am Strong.
You bet. So the main component, or the initial component, is grapefruit. If you were to compare On Guard, there is clove and cinnamon in it, but I'll talk a little bit more as to why. So when we look at I Am Strong, really what it is an antioxidant blend that is going to create an environment, or the idea was to create an environment where you can thrive energy-wise, and not so specific to estrogen so much as just allowing estrogen to thrive, because you're in that power phase, which is an energy state, but also really can be considered more like a metabolic piece. Grapefruit has a high amount of D-limonene. D-limonene is a cellular oil. When you think of a cellular oil, we're talking about cellular health, cellular repair. We're talking about detox. We talk about D-limonene as something that can be very good for the pituitary. Because what does the pituitary, remind us what the pituitary works with? Can you remind us on that real quick?
Yeah, no, I'm like, wow, you really listened to me.
Legit.
So when in that first part of the cycle, that the pituitary is receiving communication from the ovaries. And the way that it works is when an egg is ready to be released, it actually sends a chemical up to the hypothalamus and says, hey, I need more estrogen. And so then the pituitary starts to create a neurochemical reaction that sends a signal down to the outer part of the ovaries and says, hey, outer part of the ovaries, so we call it the thecal cells, we need you to make more estrogen. So this feedback loop is happening really strongly from day 1 to day 10 of a woman's cycle. So the fact that you would have an oil in there that would be stimulating, nurturing, therapeutic to the pituitary, I mean, that's key for estrogen production. So if you're an ovulating woman, like let's say you were trying to get pregnant, that would be key. If you're a postmenopausal woman who's losing estrogen, you want that pituitary to be at its best. So that's brilliant. I love that.
No, you're great. And I'm grateful for that explanation, because what we want to do, grapefruit at the same time, we want an oil blend that can help mitigate cortisol. Right. And so what grapefruit does is it stimulates the mind, but because of those trace components, even, we are creating an environment where we can lower cortisol. That really comes in with that second ingredient, coriander. So coriander actually has more of a relaxant piece. I would really more of a stress reliever. And it's what we call a blend enhancer. And so there are oils that they make the entire team just work better. It's just like humans. When we put a team together, I don't necessarily want just an all-star. I want the dream team who everyone's components are synergistic. I don't need just one person to guide it. So coriander helps with that. And then pink pepper. is third,
Yeah.
which again is a very stimulating from an olfactory standpoint. Internally, pink pepper can be calming for the system, but olfactory wise is very stimulating. But now we get to this spice component: black pepper, clove, cinnamon, ginger. These are oils specific to glucose. And so these essential oils, you get citrus and spice. The reason why I want those together emotionally is because we want to break through emotional barriers. And when you talked to me originally, you said, Gab, this is when a woman would want to start projects or finish projects she hasn't been able to finish because possibly cycle challenges. And this is the oil with that spice component and the citrus that can uplift and get you forward. That was the whole concept of helping you achieve what you want to and breaking through some of those emotional barriers. Because if you give black pepper a personality, black pepper is like, we're doing this and we're doing it right now. So let's go. And that's the same idea with cinnamon. Cinnamon actually helps provide a level of confidence along with clove. And so there's so many emotional pieces. And if we talk about a journey with essential oils, my journey and most people's journey starts with a physical challenge. And then as we graduate into this emotional component of, oh, I'm seeing the emotional benefit. And then in mine has become more of a spiritual, because we move from this physical to this emotional and spiritual. And when we can take care of the spiritual aspect, our emotions improve. And then when our emotions improve, physical challenges begin to diminish, because a lot of those physical challenges may be caused by emotion that's being harbored. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and one of the things that my audience is going to hear from me as Fast Like a Girl comes out into the world is that these hormones dictate our emotions. They, and because men have testosterone that drives them, and actually testosterone in a man has to go up into the brain to convert into estrogen. So you are very simply hormonally designed, not to, discredit how amazing men are, but
I'm fully offended right now, Dr. Mindy. I'm not doing my hair for you anymore. When I come out, I am not doing my hair, getting done up for this. Go ahead.
That's what I love about you. But with women, we have to take these three hormones into consideration, and they drive our moods. So if you look from a mood standpoint, from day 1 to day 10, as estrogen is building, estrogen will be at its peak somewhere about day 10, day 11, as you move into ovulation. Estrogen makes us incredibly mentally clear. It makes us incredible verbal processors, which is why we talk a lot. I can't even imagine what it's like in your household with all those women around. In fact, I'd be curious if they all cycle together, the ones that are cycling. But estrogen, we need, it is one of our superpowers. I feel like estrogen has been sort of like given a bad rap because there are negative estrogens out there that can cause cancer. But they're positive estrogens that make us great communicators, give us great mental clarity, and are a superpower. I mean, keep us insulin sensitive. Ask any woman who loses estrogen how she feels as she goes through menopause. So I love that. So, okay, one question I have, because I love this oil so much, I literally want to put it everywhere, all over my body.
Right.
I know we put it in rollers. Could we put them in water? Could you drink it?
Theoretically, you could, because the fractionated coconut oil is technically an MCT, a coconut MCT.
Would there be a benefit to it? I mean, we put them in rollers
the
so that
benefit would be yes. I mean, the benefit would be, we don't usually teach internal use, just because I want people working with a practitioner. And we're talking with a practitioner right now. Check that out. So yes, in reference to that, you could. And the beauty of that is a lot of the research in reference to glucose and insulin is actually from internal use from some of these spice oils.
Yeah.
And so could it be a benefit? Yeah. Could we possibly create something in dropper form? Maybe that's something we need to do in the future, right?
Yeah, and you all give us your feedback. But what I actually took this. I had a really long day a couple days ago where I had to get on a plane, go down to LA, and do a podcast interview. I was making a couple other stops, and so I looked at my essential oils, and I was like, okay, I need I Am Strong. And so I literally like threw it in my bag and put it on me all day long, to the point that I pulled it out. I forgot I was using it. I pulled it out in an Uber, and the woman was driving, and she was like, "What's that smell? What is that?" I'm like, "Well, it's funny you ask. It's I Am." So
I love it.
Anyway, so this is again right now. This is until you create something to prove me otherwise. This is my favorite oil on the planet. So love I Am Strong.
Good.
Okay, now when we move into ovulation, what's interesting about ovulation is we've got estrogen production at its highest. And now testosterone is coming in. So in the book, I call this the manifestation phase, because we can manifest a baby if we want one, or we can manifest a new job. We can resolve conflicts. Like, this is our highlight of our time, because we have the estrogen at its peak. We have testosterone giving us motivation and drive at its highest, and a little bit of progesterone to keep us calm. So you put together another amazing oil called I Am Restored. So talk a little bit, and just because I'm a fan of I Am Strong doesn't mean I'm not a fan of these other two, but talk a little bit about why you put the ingredients in I Am Restored.
Well, and they need to be very different in aroma. That's on purpose.
Yeah.
One thing we need to mention is the days that you're talking about of the cycle, we actually put the days on the label to make it easier for individuals. Does that mean that's a hard and fast rule? Not necessarily. A guy could utilize these essential oils and get amazing benefit. And so I wanted to make it easier for those that continue to follow you to have an idea of how to use it. So
thank you.
You bet.
Appreciate
so now when we talk about I Am Restored, you'll look, the number one ingredient in here is orange. And you say, wait a minute, Gavin, we were just with grapefruit, and you said grapefruit is stimulating, but orange is more of a relaxant. Yeah. So by small and simple things are great things brought to pass. So when we look at both of these oils, they have very high amounts of D-limonene, but what is it that gives the grapefruit a different taste and totally different smell is actually 0.1% of a chemical constituent.
Wow. So
when we talk about small things, that's what I'm talking about, is the littlest of things will change what an oil does. And they're called nucleotins. And so that is the piece that gives grapefruit what it is. And those trace aspects create that stimulating effect. Now, when we're talking about orange has, again, high D-limonene, but it's more of a relaxant. But because it has different ratios, again, we're talking about the volume that your body wants to listen to the music with. So orange has been shown in studies. In fact, in a study in 2013, they found orange is so great with the parasympathetic, whereas rosemary and something like lemon would be great for concentration. So you'll see these are together on purpose. Orange gives us that ability it uplifts the mind, but calms us in some aspect. And then rosemary is that stimulator for the mind. There's so much. This study was done in reference to Alzheimer patients. Wow. And there's been a lot of study done with aromatherapy in reference to Alzheimer or just dementia and those things. And so rosemary is one of my favorite singles because of its ability to help the mind. Each of these, when we first talked, said, Gavin, can we create something supportive of digestion and also the liver? And so orange is an amazing digestive component, rosemary also, but all of these have a hepatoprotective component.
Amazing.
So the next aspect would be, yes, peppermint and ginger. So we're creating the subtle energetic effect, but with the idea of focusing on the mind. Does that help?
Yeah. Oh my God. Amazing. So here's the other thing. I'm like, wow, he really got it. Like, I'm so excited. You and I haven't had this complete conversation. You've asked me questions, I've responded, but here's what I want to make sure doesn't get lost. Because, the oils are amazing, but I also want people to understand why we put this together. The pituitary is definitely that organ you want to be working at its best. in that first part of the cycle, day 1 through day 10 in that first power phase. And if you're like, power phase, what is that? Again, this is all in Fast Like a Girl. So, so you nailed that one. In our ovulation window, one of the biggest problems that I see with women is they work so hard to produce the hormone. And even in menopausal women, you know, we go on HRT, we go on bioidenticals to actually produce these hormones, but it's not enough to produce a hormone. You got to break the hormone down. So in ovulation between day 10, it's usually around day 11 to day 15, it's this short window with all these hormones. If you have any gut dysbiosis, if your liver is stressed out, it is not going to break these amazing hormones down into usable parts into your cells. So what I just heard you say is that what's in I Am Restored are oils that support not just gut health, but liver health.
Exactly.
So could we actually take I Am Restored and rub it on our gut and liver like we do with Pure Regen and Live Better?
Yeah, you could. So it's a little bit different components in that orange. Again, I will mention I'm a liver guy, right?
Yeah.
I'm always going to have hepatoprotectives.
Right. Oh, okay. And everything. Yeah.
Right?
And if you don't know Gav's liver story, go listen to the first episode. It's incredible. So go ahead.
You bet. So I see rosemary as a great detoxifier. Ginger is a great tonic. Again, these have great antioxidant capacity.
Yeah.
We're looking at peppermint as well as stimulator. So from a liver standpoint, your major ones here, all of them can be for the liver. Pure Regen would be has a greater amount of stimulants in it. Whereas this would be probably more digestive focused with the sub capacity of liver detox. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Primary
absolutely.
digestion, secondary liver detox.
Great. So when we use I Am Restored, we're focused on taking all of these hormones and making them usable to our cells. That's what those essential oils. Anything around testosterone, can we look at any of the nutrients in there that would support testosterone at all?
In reference, I would spices in general are great for that. Sandalwood has been shown and been helpful for that, but I wouldn't suggest that I Am Restored is really specific to that. So again, this is where if we try to have a blend do too many things, we create a C blend.
Yeah.
Whereas because I put oils together like this is going to be amazing, and then you put them in, you're like, what the what? This isn't doing what I want it to do, right? Yeah. So we want to really work with that. Can we do that? Yes. A lot of that is found in spice oils. A lot of that is found in some of those grounding oils and base notes. I find testosterone in general is great with that, with a lot of those base notes, which you have ginger in here, but I wouldn't say yes, it is specifically.
Well, so here's what's interesting about testosterone is, and I've had a lot of discussions with different hormone experts on this, is that you can't, we used to think with the other two sex hormones, you can eat certain foods to help support them. Testosterone's not like that. It really, the big thing that brings testosterone out of balance is insulin resistance and toxicity, specifically a toxin called phthalates. Now, this is really interesting because this is where it ties into essential oils. The number one source of phthalates is our synthetic air fresheners, our synthetic fragrances. So it is like the colognes we wear. It is the air fresheners in our car. It's the fragrances we put in our laundry detergent. All of that is destructive to our testosterone levels. So I don't know if you've had very many people, like especially men, this is a big deal for men, where I know it's a new oil, but they could wear I Am Restored to help detoxify, because I heard you say that in there's some toxins, to detoxify some of the phthalates that may have been accumulated, causing testosterone to go out of balance.
Yeah. So I Am Restored is going to be more of a citrus minty scent and aroma, but because of that mint aspect, it is going to have a very, very cleansing component. So cineol, which is the main component in rosemary, is really that strong, one of that strong cleansers within it. So what I hear you saying is, Gavin, detoxification is such a key point for that testosterone. So then, yeah, we're taking A plus B, which something that can be helpful and support normal detoxification, combining it with something that does that, right? Then yes, can there be an aspect of testosterone? Yes, but I'm not willing to say, yes, this is a testosterone oil, because you and I talked again, remember where I said my goal was to help the body create the environment where the hormone can thrive, as opposed to making some claim that this helps this specific hormone. My idea was let's create that environment where, because as you mentioned before, the body's the gift. The body's the gift, and the oil is the messenger. The oil is that communicator that helps the communication where there's a breakdown, to allow that to happen so the body can say, I've got this, to help.
Yeah, oh my God, I love that. Now, I have to say that I'm also thinking, I'm in Ubers a lot because I travel a lot. Yes. I'm thinking that I'm going to carry a couple of bottles of I Am Restored around, because one of my pet peeves is when I get into an Uber with someone who has really strong cologne,
right, and
maybe a Christmas tree hanging, air freshener. And I'm going to bring out I Am Restored and be like, excuse me, I want to protect your testosterone levels because you're driving around in this all day. So I'm just going to go ahead and give you some go ahead and nix the cologne, and I'll just throw the Christmas tree out and hanging from your rear view mirror and give you I Am Restored. That's what I'm thinking. That's going to be my gift to Uber drivers going forward.
I'm loving this. My favorite is you get in the Uber and they turn on, oh, you need some air? I'm like, yes, but not with that thing in the middle of the vent, because I don't want it in my face.
Right. Oh my gosh. Yeah. You know what I do? I actually thank the Ubers when I get in and there's nothing and no smell in there. You want to reward positive behavior. So
I think I'm just going to say I'm bald because of those air fresheners. Will you please turn that off? Just
there you go.
Keep going.
Oh my God, that would be amazing.
Let's connect testosterone, right? So moving forward, go ahead.
Moving forward. So I Am Restored is for the manifestation phase. Which those of you, the manifestation phase is laid out in massive detail in Fast Like a Girl, so you can understand it. What Gav has done is really put the dates of your cycle on the label so you can see it and you can time it. Now, coming out of ovulation, we have another dip in hormones. So I call this power phase 2. You go from this really high estrogen progesterone state, or a high estrogen and testosterone state, to like no hormones. And so you're in another down moment. So what we would recommend is that you put I Am Strong back on. And when we look at the organ there is, again, we're back at the pituitary, because the pituitary needs to come into action to really bring progesterone levels up so that you can actually have you shed and have a period. So we wanted I Am Strong to be for both power phases. Now, on day 20, you're really getting progesterone, and progesterone's coming in a massive way. And progesterone chills us out. Progesterone, when it hits its peak, that causes the uterine lining to shed. So what you did, this is create an oil called I Am Still. And I just want to say that I love the affirmation oils. I love that we have affirmations with these, because when I went to name the different cycles, I wanted them to really have a name that embodied what you would, the vibration you would step into. And so in the week before our period, we not only need glucose to be higher, we not only are more insulin resistant, we're not only more inner, but we need to chill out. Like, we should not be doing a lot of things. So when I got I Am Still, the first thing I got to just tell you is I smelt it and I was like, oh, there's lavender in there. Okay, I get why you put lavender in there. I tried to actually smell these before and guess what was in them, like a sommelier, like an essential oil sommelier. But then I was like, okay, wait, there's something else in here that is making me really calm. Now, for a menopausal woman to tell you that something made her calm, that's like the biggest compliment on the planet.
Thank you.
So talk about the other key oil you put in here that might be my favorite, and I probably should take a bath in it. So talk about the oil you paired with lavender.
Let's go back to this volume piece that we introduced in the beginning, because like you said, we want to be still. And you talked about frequencies, and essential oils are affected by intention because they're an energetic modality, as they'll never be a pharmaceutical. When we try and treat them like a pharmaceutical, it just doesn't work out right, because they're not that. They're not supposed to be. And the beauty of this is we bring in the lavender, and lavender has been shown, like I mentioned before, to be so helpful in engaging the parasympathetic, but at the same time, it also can help with both emotional and physical stressors. And when we bring in vetiver is arguably the most complex oil on the market. It is a root. It is a root. It gets down deep. It grows quickly. The root system is massive. And so when we get this root system and we go back to this concept of through small and simple things are great things brought to pass, there's not one major constituent in vetiver that just outshines the rest. It's all 0.01% here, 0.1% here. And it embodies a true dream team of essential oils and constituents. But what it then does, because it pulls so much from the soil, is great for things like nervous exhaustion. It's great for chronic just challenges with stress and adrenals. And at the same time, some aromatherapists, some clinical aromatherapists will talk about this idea of progesterone and the ability for vetiver to help manage that. And so again, it's not creating it, but we go back to the book and we go back to the comments of DHEA. We need that to be where it needs to be so that progesterone can thrive. And so this oil, when I was blending it, I had 5 oils in mind, and I just felt strongly simplify.
Yep.
And that's how we came up with I Am Still.
You know what is so beautiful is I just got chills from that. Because the simplification of I Am Still, I feel it. Like when I put it on, I literally feel calmer. And I do this kind of thing with anything new that I try, is I try to prove that it's wrong first. So if I take it and I have like a feeling of like, oh yeah, of course the bottle says I am still. So I must be feeling calm. And then I try to prove myself wrong. Like, really, come on, Mindy, was that the placebo effect? Why did that just happen? So I keep trying it in different ways and in different environments. And in the anxious moments that can happen in a day, if I put I Am Still on, I feel like somebody it's like somebody putting their hand on my shoulder and saying, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. It is the most grounding combination. And has anybody ever put lavender and vetiver together like this?
You know, they go well together because again, lavender is a blend enhancer, but why they go well is because vetiver enhances what lavender already does well. Amazing. That's what the beauty of it. So this is what we mean by truly synergistic. And when we can create a blend that 1 + 1 = 11, I believe that's what these two do so well together.
Yeah. And you know what? It's such a compliment, again, to the other 2 oils, because if we go through the cycle and we look at the cycle and we look at the modern world we're in, you know, there's a lot of estrogen imbalances because of toxins in the pituitary. And so you've created that in I Am Strong of nourishing the pituitary. There's so many women that are struggling with ovulation because of gut dysbiosis and overload on the liver. And then we've got I Am Restored to support that. And when we come into that week before our period, it's really, I'm just going to say as a woman, I am so grateful for this oil because we're supposed to slow down that week. But yet we live in a world, in a patriarchal society that doesn't say, oh, it's the week before your period. Go ahead and take a few days off. You should probably sit on the couch and watch Netflix and eat some pizza. No, the world that we live in, especially if you're in a driver corporate job, is produce. And that is really affecting our progesterone levels. So I'm thinking, and tell me what you think on this, is that if I'm in that driver role, I have to really perform and produce in a day. When I get home at the end of that day, I would want to lather myself up with I Am Still to rebalance my hormones out. Can we use it that way?
That is accurate, because too often when we start to drag, we think stimulate, 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 stimulate.
Right.
And the body needs a break. It just needs a break. That's all it needs, is the matriarchal moment of relax. And that is a perfect, and that's actually how I use it. This actually could go really well with another oil we called I Am Enough.
Yeah.
The two of them work well together. But again, we wanted this, like you said, to be complementary to that phase. And I believe vetiver, because of its complexity, is the perfect oil to help us work through the challenge that the last 2 years in particular have created.
Right.
And that's why I felt strongly it needed to be in there.
Yeah. I absolutely love that, because when we look at the consequences of stress on our hormones, as women, we suffer the most because of exactly what we're talking about. Progesterone, you cannot make progesterone when cortisol is high. So if cortisol goes high, you're not going to get progesterone. Just ask any, menopausal woman who's losing progesterone how well she handles stress. It's not very well. And so we need resources for women, because I can tell you as a driven woman, I don't want to chill out. I just want to know how, I want to know how to create some rebalance for what all the things I want to do, but be able to protect my hormones. So this one's great. And then I also want to talk about I Am Enough. We put the trio together: I Am Strong, I Am Restored, and I Am Still, to match the fasting cycle. But the fourth oil they could add in would be I Am Enough, and just use it throughout the whole cycle. Don't you think?
Yeah, most of our customers, when they call us, they say this is the oil when the day is just it's just too much, or I'm just hitting that, let's just say it, anger moment, that irritability moment. That is when I Am Enough, because really that anger is a secondary emotion. And oftentimes we just feel like we're just not enough for the day and what's demanded of us. I look at my wife and 4 very energetic girls and a husband that can throw a curveball at any given moment. And what she has to deal with, right? No, not at all.
No, come on, you're the perfect husband, Gav.
Right,
don't tell me that.
Yeah, let's get her on here one of these days. Let's say, Carrie, can you give us the truth in this moment?
That's right.
Let's lay this down. But in reality, I just watch her. But that was also part of why I wanted the affirmations for this line, is to keep the frequency where I believe it needs to be, but also to remind my daughters, other daughters, and women out there that, you are enough. And yes, you can be still, and it's okay. And you are strong. And yes, you can be restored. You're not broken.
Oh, wow. Oh my gosh. You made me cry. Thank you.
You bet.
Whew. It takes a lot to make me speechless. That was so beautiful. I don't even know what else to say after that, because what I just heard in that statement is how much you get women and how many resources women need, because we are struggling in the stress of this modern world, and we don't realize it. We give it labels of, I'm depressed, I'm anxious, I'm, got weight loss resistance. But at the core of what's happening for women's health right now is exactly what you said, which is we don't feel like we're enough. That's a core wound for so many women. We don't know how to still ourselves because we have too many things on our plate, and we are hopeless that we can reset our health. So when we look at I Am Strong, I'm Restored, I Am Still, and I Am Enough, you literally hit all the wounds that women are going through. So I just want to cry. So I really, really appreciate that. And what I want to say as we close this down is that I also feel so heard by you, Gav. Like, I had a vision with Fast Like a Girl. I really wanted to teach women their hormones and how to use a free tool like fasting to really let those hormones shine. And I've shared this vision over and over and over again with so many people, men and women. You are one of the rare few that just got it at the deepest level possible. So I have to just honor you and thank you for that. It really means a lot to me, but it also means a lot to the women that follow me. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
Okay, where do I go from here? I do have one question before we close it down.
Sure.
And my final departing question is, does it matter where we put these? I'm wondering, could I put them over my ovaries? Like, could we rub it on our ovaries in that first half of the cycle? I am strong.
Yep, absolutely. So remember, this is a cleansing oil. They're cleansing, and each of these oils have anti-inflammatory capacity. Yeah. So we haven't obviously gotten into all that these can do, but the goal at the same time, I feel like the core of so much is inflammation. And so if we can create an oil that provides an environment with less inflammation, then that's the goal there. So ovaries, so if I'm looking at, I am strong, I love right here in the lymph, I love to bring it down. You can put it, in the lower lymphatic system, could be great place for that. Even if you wanted to, I like to put it right where the adrenals are, and then I'll massage it down towards the sacrum, right? The root chakra. And then I actually like I am restored. I actually like it right on the sternum. I appreciate as it's that area of creativity that I feel, and it is so cleansing for my mind. Whereas I am strong is that optimistic, it's that optimistic motivator. I'm restored is that fresh, just that revitalizing cleanse that I need. And then I am still is just safety and a roll on. And that's how I would use them. Just a few ways.
Safety and a roll on. I love that. Yeah. And so and that was beautiful. And I don't know if we have that on your website of where to place it, because I would agree with you that if we put I am strong in the lymphatics, you're in around the front of your neck and your inguinal area, now you're moving that through your whole body. If you put I am restored on your heart or on your sternum area, you are really opening. I mean, for women, we have all those hormones in that manifestation phase. So you're really opening your heart up and letting those superpowers shine. And when you do it on your back for I am still, you're calming the adrenals down. And, I would say even when you go to put these oils on in those different places, think about the emotions, think about the vibration, the frequency, how you want to be. Yeah. One of the things about fasting like a girl and taking our power back is taking control of the chaos back. And if we are constantly looking outside ourselves for health and happiness, we really can get swirled into the chaos. Yep. And what I love about what you just said is when we put the oils on those places, if we just take a moment and just go inner and go, this is what I'm trying to create in my vibration of my body right now. Yeah. I mean, you've taken oils to a whole nother level.
Well, I think we need to remember too, though, when in doubt, smell the oil. If you're just I'm not sure exactly where I need to be, just smell it. Just smell it, my friends. Just let it happen.
Yeah. So. Amazing. So, okay, my final question for you is, we always ask this on the Resetter podcast, and this is the end of our season 3, and it's been the season of gratitude. And I'm going to actually, it's funny, I haven't really shared this to the world, but I'm going to say what I'm grateful for. And today I'm just going to say, Gav, I'm so grateful for you. You really, you really, I feel really heard, and I thank you for that. You really touched me in what you did with these oils. And I am so grateful to get it out to the world. So I'm going to flip it on you and say, what are you grateful for in 2021? And do you have a gratitude practice? I know you have a deep spiritual connection. Do you have a gratitude practice you do every day?
So my gratitude practice is first, I know I'm just telling it like it is. I was looking in a journal from 2019 last night, and I was reading a moment where I was going through great challenge. And at the end, I wrote, Carrie is my hero because her challenges with raising 4 girls, managing a household, and trying to help manage the up and down emotions of a husband and having time for her. And so, what am I grateful for this year? I'm grateful for the greatest friend and spouse I could ever ask for. And my practice would be I just have to each day remind myself. The key is remind myself, suggesting that I'm not ridiculously perfect at it. But I will take an oil and I will hold it. And then I will just let it be with me as I breathe. And then I will put it on my wrists I will take a roller and I'll put it right on my hands. And then I'll cup and I'll breathe. And then I will write. And I will write some things that I may be grateful for or things that I have learned to help remind me that I am this little speck in this amazing gift that God has given us of life. And the goal is just to help magnify goodness where we go.
Amazing. Well, I could talk to you all day, and we're going to get to meet, I think, for the first time face to face. Oh my gosh.
It's going to be amazing.
I know. So looking forward to giving you a big hug. And these oils are now on your website, right?
Yep,
and they're probably on my website too. My guess is we have a link that will go over there. We'll put a link in the show notes here. I think I also told you that we've got an app that's coming out with the book.
Exciting.
So
Super exciting.
Yeah, it's really exciting. So eventually, if not in the first round, the oils will be linked so you know where to put the oils and when to use them according to what our app is guiding you through. So, Gav, I don't even know if I have words to just express to you how grateful I am for you. And it's not just in what you've created with these oils, but every time you send me a message, your energy just lifts me up. And I know many of us feel that way. Jessica and I geek out on how much we love you, your commitment to your wife, your commitment to your girls, your commitment to women and what I'm trying to do. I don't know if I'll ever find the proper words, but I want you to know how much I appreciate you.
Thank you for the honor of being here and being with you on this journey.
Yeah. Thank you.